drums, they sounded pretty basic and boring, right? But now that we're listening to those drums with the sample and bass, this thing's hitting pretty good. All right, welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're gonna be talking about quantizing and the MPC swing. This is probably not a topic that a lot of people talk about, but hey, there's two types of people, right? There's some people that do not believe in quantizing and say, hey man, just stick to your own natural groove. And then there's the other group that say, hey, you know what? I do need quantize and I want to use the MPC swing to complement my performance. I land in between. I'm a 50-50. There's 50% of the times where I'm quantizing. The other half, I'm probably just going with my natural groove. But my natural groove doesn't always sound great. So I'll go ahead and quantize. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. I hope you get to hang out with me in this video and many more. And if you already subscribed to this YouTube channel, thank you so much for hanging out with me and investing your time watching these videos. Let's jump right into it. So right here, I have a blank session. It's at 80 beats per minute and it's a 2-bar sequence. I don't have a sample. As a matter of fact, we are gonna put together an entire beat, but I'm just gonna focus a little more on programming your drums and using the time correct and the swing of the MPC. The chopping up samples and everything else, I'm gonna skim through that, go very fast. Now, there's times where I start chopping up my samples or I listen to a sample and I get started with the sample and then I'll add drums. But there's also other times where I start with my drums and then I start adding samples to my performance because it kind of sets a foundation on how I want to perform my sample chops. Right here, I'm actually gonna start with my drums. Right here in track 1, I have my drums. I'm actually gonna name that. And these drums, matter of fact, these are from my sample pack volume 1. So if you guys have any other sample pack, feel free to follow along. And if you guys want to support the channel, go ahead, hit the link down in the description. You guys can support and purchase sample pack volume 1. But right here, we have a couple kicks, couple snares, couple hi-hats, open hats. I'm going to just lay down a very basic boom bap groove. Everything's going to be quantized. There's nothing fancy that you're going to hear right now, but you will see that everything that's going to be on the grid sounds kind of dead and boring. We're going to start bringing it to life using the swing within the MPC. So if you're new to beat production, you could definitely follow along because I'm going to keep it very, very simple with this groove that I'm laying down. I'm actually going to start with my hi-hat, but before I start recording, let's make sure our quantize is turned on. Shift TC. If this little light is lit up, that means quantize is turned on. If it's turned off, as you guys can see, that means that you're not quantizing anything. So I'm gonna make sure TC is turned on. And one more thing I'm gonna do before we go any further, I'm gonna hold down Shift, hold TC, and this jumps into your timing correction page. And this page is gonna ask you, how do you want to quantize your performance? How are you gonna be performing this sequence right now? Like me, I'm thinking of just laying something down kind of like this. My performance is kind of 1/18th grid. So if I hit do it, you will see that my grid is selected on 1/18th. I'm sorry, 1/16th. That's how my grid is right now. But if I hit Shift TC, let's say I want to perform something kind of like this. I'm probably gonna be at 1/32, hit do it. You'll see that this grid just changed and added more grid values to this sequence. But I'm not going to be playing like that because that's going to be very bad if I do. And I'm going to put it at 1/8, hit do it. And let's lay down this groove right here. Now, if you want to spice this up and add some swing to it, you could actually hold down Shift, go back to your time correct page. And once we're in here, we can we leave it at 1/8 because that's how my performance is right now. And the events, I'm actually going to go to all the events. What that means is that it's going to affect everything in that drum program within that sequence. Now, how much swing do you want to add to this performance? I can go up to 55%. Let's hit do it. Now, if you notice, if I zoom in, you'll notice that some of these notes that are a little nudged off of that grid. Okay. So that sounds a lot better. It does not sound too strict on the grid. If I go down to TC again, make sure that on the events is on all, and I'm gonna go from 55%, let's go all the way to 65. Hit do it, and let's listen to this. Not too bad. That's actually not too bad. Now, if you want to undo that, you could just go ahead and hit undo. I'm going to hit undo again, so it's back to 100% quantize. One thing that I'm going to actually add to this performance, I want to add another layer of the kick. I want to add kind of like the pre-kick, and this pre-kick, I'm actually going to go to TC, and I'm going to go into 1/16th grid, hit do it, because this pre-kick, I want it to land right before the downbeat. So let's go ahead and add that. All right, so again, that sounds pretty boring. That pre-kick is just doesn't have groove to it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all my kicks, like the whole performance of my kicks, go to TC. There's two ways. Actually, you could just select selected events, which I had selected my kicks, or you can go to this range value and just select that kick. Now that kick is selected, you can actually select multiple one-shots that you want to add swing to. But in this case, I just want to add swing to that kick, which is selected already. And how much swing do I want to add? Let's put about 60% swing, and let's hit do it. Now that that's selected, if you zoom in, you'll notice that that pre-kick just nudged over to the right. So let's listen to how that sounds. There you go. Now we could even go further and select that pre-kick, just that pre-kick. Go to automation, hit the little drop down window as selected on velocity. So let's drop down that velocity. Yeah, at about 65%. I'm gonna do that to all these pre-kicks at about 65% or of velocity. Boom, at about 65%. This is one thing I've said before, but get comfortable with your grid editor, especially for us that are in standalone mode, that you want to get comfortable with this grid editor because you become very fast after a while when you're using it and you're putting your beats together. Actually, I'm going to go back to TC. I'm going to select that kick again. I want to actually do the swing a little more drastic. Let's go to 65%, hit do it. Now let's listen to how this sounds. That's not too bad. Now I'm going to go back to TC and I'm going to go to the events. I'm actually going to select just the snare. The snare, I want to nudge it over to the left or to my left because I want that snare to kind of come in a little sooner than the grid where it should land in. And instead of adding swing, I'm going to leave it at 50%. I'm going to go to the shift timing and I'm going to shift it about the 5% to the left, hit do it. Now, if we see that snare, you'll see that it's nudged over like 5% to the left. So if we listen to this, now there's two things that we did right there. We've added some of dynamics with the velocity of some of those kicks. And we also added some swing with the shifting of some of these notes that we're laying down on the grid. And right now, it probably sounds a little boring because it's just drums. But what happens once we start layering some samples? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get right into putting this beat together. I'm actually excited because as I'm putting my samples in, and maybe once I start putting my bass line in there, I will be going back to these drums. As I'm putting back together my beat, I'm kind of jumping back and forth. Once I start getting a clear vision of where this beat is headed towards. All right, so we're gonna power through right now. I'm actually gonna go to track number 2. I'm gonna name this sample. And I actually have this sample right here that I wanna jump into. Right here, I have this track. I'm gonna load that into the MPC. Go to my sample editor. And I'm not gonna spend too much time chopping this up. There's actually a very new way that I've been chopping up my samples. I'm gonna go from trim to chop, and right here I'm gonna go into regions, and I'm gonna go from 16 regions. Let's just go into 32 regions. 32 regions right here is gonna make 32 slices. So that's gonna fill up bank A and B, filled up with sample chops. I don't know where it's gonna be starting and ending. I don't care about that. I don't care about the timing. Sometimes this thing will create some very awesome chops for me that I would have never done. All right, so right here we have some of these chops, but I'm actually going to go into the program editor and let's pitch this down. Let's go down to at least 4 semitones. Oh. All right, so before I go any further, I'm actually on this sample. I'm going to go to the whole entire program. Let's go in here and go on to the insert number 1, go to dynamics. Let's add a mother ducker. And then I'm going to actually go back to my drums, go to my kick, which is right here. Just that kick, I'm going to add mother ducker input just so we can kind of have like some of that sidechain compression happening with the entire drum or sample program. All right, cool. So I'm actually digging where this is headed. I'm going to go from 2 bars. I'm going to just double length this sequence. So now it's 4 bars. Let's go ahead and lay this down. Oh, that's so dope. But I'm actually gonna, I want to focus on this bar right here. I like how that sounds. I just don't like this last note. Oh, shoot. What am I doing? All right, cut that off. Let's add that with something else. I'm just auditioning different chops. Ooh, yeah. Go back. All right, so I really like how that sounds. I'm actually, now that we have our drums and our sample kind of playing together back and forth, I'm gonna go to my master bus right here, and I'm gonna go to the inserts. I actually have this preset that I put together for my master track that I've just really been loving how this sounds, and it's gonna be my version of cassette simulator within the MPC. Now, this is put together with 2 plugins, and the 2 plugins is gonna be Air Flavor Pro and Air EQ. With these 2 plugins, I will actually let you listen to 1 bar without this master chain, and then I will engage this master chain so you can listen to the before and after. Yeah, it sounds good. It's a little too much vinyl noise, so I can go to my vinyl setting and just bring that down a bit. All right, I like how that sounds right there. This sample, it's like a few milliseconds, and then you could hear the downbeat. It's kind of bugging me right now. To fix that, I'm actually going to go into my program editor, into my sample page. I'm going to zoom in to that slice. There you go. Now let's see how this sounds. I'm going to do the same thing right here. And I can adjust the ending of this as well. Go to the start of this. You gotta love these MPCs. This is so cool that I'm able to do this with this unit right here. It's wild, man. It always gets me. Now let's go into track number 3. I'm gonna name this bass. With this bass right here, I'm actually going to create a new drum program, and let's go into our browser. I want to give a shout out to MSX Audio. This Bassline Volume 1. I picked up this Bassline Volume 1. I'm probably going to stick with this for all 2023. This is more than enough for me to work with. The bass notes right here man, these sound awesome. So the way I'm going to do this right here, I'm going to go into this folder. I'm going to go ahead and hit play and just audition different bass notes that sound the closest to the key of that sample. That was actually pretty close. It's not in key with the sample, but it's close enough for me to make it be in key. So as you guys can see, this is the performance of that bass. Just going to select that one note right here that's at the beginning. There you go. I'm going to go to global. I'm going to make that into one shot. or I'm sorry, node on, and I'm actually going to lower the volume of this. There you go. Just keep that like that. I'm going to go into 16 level velocity, turn that on. You could create this into a key group. There's not a right or wrong way of doing it. I'm just used to doing it like this. But again, you could also make that sample into a key group and perform it. You have a little more flexibility with your grid editor, but we're not going to do all that right now. Let's go into our program and our sample. And right now, I'm going to just try to find the key of this and match it to the key that the sample's on. All right, let's lay that down right here on the grid. All right, so that actually is coming along pretty nice. If you guys notice that we started with a sample, or I'm sorry, a drum groove that was so basic. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't do anything crazy with finger drumming, and I just kept it so simple. We are no longer in that first chapter of this video. We are now listening to how everything sounds together, not just the drums by itself, because yes, if we soloed those drums, they sounded pretty basic and boring, right? But now that we're listening to those drums with the sample and bass, this thing's hitting pretty good. So where I'm trying to go with this is use some of these tools. We have an MPC. If you're watching this video, most likely you also have an MPC. The MPC has a very powerful swing to it. I've used other samplers and I will use their swing and it sounds okay. Nothing wrong with that, but I feel like the MPC has a very unique swing that I want to be able to use. In order for me to use that, then I must quantize my drums and utilize those tools to allow my beat to just kind of come together in a very pleasing way. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun putting this beat together. I'm going to listen to this once I import this and edit, so hopefully this actually came out good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This really means a lot for you to invest how long this video took. I know that's time, and time is so valuable. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys got something out of this video. Thank you so much. You have a blessed day. I'll catch y'all on our next video. Peace.